It's your fault that our family lineage will come to an end.
After being married for 11 years, my husband and I were unable to have children. My mother-in-law berated me daily because of this, and I couldn't bear it any longer. I made the decision to divorce and leave this house. However, parting with my beloved husband, who had always protected me, was incredibly painful. With tears in his eyes, he signed the divorce papers, apologizing for not being able to protect me. But a few days later, as I packed my belongings, I discovered a hidden diary tucked away on the bookshelf. What's this? I was utterly shocked by the contents of the first page. In that moment, everything I had believed in came crashing down, and my love for him vanished. I got married to my husband Michael when I was 22 years old. He was 5 years older than me and worked as an employee at a company that our business dealt with. He was considerate, kind, and good at his job, making him popular with both men and women. We started dating after he fell in love with me at first sight, and we got married amidst envy from those around us. Because we were still young, we agreed to enjoy our life as a couple for a while. My beloved husband, who always respected me, was gentle and reliable, and we had a trusting relationship. However, our peaceful married life started to become uncertain around the 5th year. The reason was that we were unable to have children. Although we intentionally avoided pregnancy for the first few years of our marriage, there were still no signs of success when we began actively trying to conceive. My husband was promoted to department manager, and during that time, he had increased overtime, weekend work, and business trips.
Let's leave it to nature, Olivia.
He would say, trying to comfort my anxious feelings despite his busy schedule. However, the real issue lay elsewhere. My mother-in-law, who lived nearby, initially made jokes about our close relationship, but gradually, her tone changed. She became more openly critical, convinced that the cause of our infertility was me.
Go get tested at the hospital. You do understand that if you can't have children, right?
Despite my protests, my mother-in-law was determined to drive us apart. Thankfully, my husband stood up for me.
Mom, enough already. Olivia and I are okay even if we can't have children.
At that moment, he shielded me, and reluctantly, my mother-in-law backed down. 6 more years passed, and I turned 33. Our life remained just the two of us as a married couple, and our mindset of leaving things to nature persisted. We hadn't actively pursued treatments. However, my mother-in-law's snide remarks grew worse year by year. While having my husband as an ally was some consolation, my heart was breaking from not being understood.
I'll keep an eye on my mom. Let's continue to cherish our life together.
Yes, I hope she'll eventually understand. But it was a faint hope. My mother-in-law started coming to our house when my husband was away, as if timing it deliberately.
Our family lineage will end because of you. Separate from my son already.
Unable to turn her away, I let her in, and she would unload her grievances and leave, leaving me frustrated. This had been going on for years, making it even harder. Your mom visited again today. I'm at my wit's end. I confided in my husband, who apologized.
I'll talk to her sternly again tomorrow.
But repeating this pattern of sharing my pain and having him reprimand his mother didn't seem to make her understand. Perhaps divorce would bring relief. Gradually, I began to wish to escape from my mother-in-law's influence. When my husband received the transfer order, it was precisely during one of those moments. His new assignment was in a southern location far from my in-laws' home. That's fine. I don't think I can quit my job immediately, but I'll join you a little later. I saw this as an opportunity to escape my mother-in-law's attacks. With determination, I decided to leave my job and head to this new place with him. However, my husband surprised me.
Actually, I'm planning to go alone.
What? Why? Can't I come with you? I hadn't doubted that we would go together.
No, it's not like that.
He explained. His transfer was for management guidance at a subsidiary, and he was considered excellent. His superiors expected him to return within a year. The duration might even be shortened to a few months, so quitting my job would be a waste. So you're saying I should stay here alone? Can't you decline the transfer?
That's impossible. My promotion is at stake. Please understand.
But I don't have confidence. While his career was important, I couldn't bear living near my mother-in-law any longer.
I'll talk to my mom properly.
My husband assured me. But I knew it wouldn't change anything. Despite the generational gap, she had never understood anything. Do you want us to separate? I finally blurted out.
What? Are you talking about divorce?
I'm sorry for always relying on you. Maybe the infertility issue is my fault. During the time when my mother-in-law pressured me to undergo tests, I felt guilty and secretly visited the hospital without my husband's knowledge. However, in the end, the cause of infertility remained unclear. I couldn't confide in anyone about the inconclusive results.
It probably wasn't a big issue for us. I'm sorry for making you go through hard times because I couldn't protect you.
My husband blamed himself, tearfully accepting the divorce. 3 weeks later, I focused on organizing my belongings and finding a new place to move to, aiming for the day of his transfer. It wasn't a bitter separation, but a gaping hole remained in my heart. Losing my beloved husband, I wondered how I would survive alone. Amid regrets, I reminded myself that it was for the best, considering the deteriorating relationship with my mother-in-law. Her snide remarks ceased once she learned of our divorce.
You must have had a hard time too. I was also lost. I apologize.
While she suddenly spoke humbly on the phone, she must have felt refreshed inside. As I was packing my belongings, having found a nice place for my move, I noticed a hardcover notebook tucked away behind other books on the bookshelf. It was positioned as if someone had intentionally hidden it. Curious, I opened it and saw dates written inside. It appeared to be a diary. The handwriting was unmistakably my husband's. I had no idea he kept such a thing. But as I read the first page of that diary, my heart raced. A photograph of 3 people was inserted there, and the shocking contents revealed a truth I couldn't fathom. No way, him! I trusted my beloved husband implicitly, which made the revelation all the more devastating. In that moment, my love for him vanished. If I hadn't found that diary, I would have remained blissfully ignorant. But now, fueled by intense anger, I decided to confront my husband before my move. I needed to mete out justice. And then it hit me, the sudden change in my mother-in-law's behavior. She must have learned about this from him. Yes, it all made sense. I recalled the day after I'd informed her of our divorce. I see. What I witnessed makes sense now. The events in my head took on a new meaning. From that moment on, I eagerly awaited the day when I could take action. Preparing to leave, I knew my husband had been considerate, working fewer overtime hours since we decided to divorce. When he messaged me about another late night at work, I suppressed my anger and tension, responding in my usual tone. Understood. Take care. The time had come to unveil the truth. After finishing work promptly, I returned home and headed purposefully to the designated location, clutching the familiar diary. 30 minutes later, I arrived at apartment 206 in the neighboring town. Laughter spilled out from the room, creating an unmistakable atmosphere of family togetherness. With trembling hands, I rang the doorbell. When my husband opened the door, his smile froze upon seeing me. His dumbfounded expression steadied my resolve. "You all seem to be having a great time. Mind if I join?" I stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. There, in the company of my mother-in-law, a young woman, and a child.
Why are you here?
My mother-in-law's eyes widened in surprise when she noticed me. "Actually, it's great that you're here." The young woman and child standing there were undoubtedly the same people captured in the photograph my husband had tucked into his diary. The photo depicted him, the beautiful woman, and the adorable boy, their faces pressed together in a family-like embrace. The woman in the room seemed bewildered by my unexpected visit.
Why do you know about this place? Did you investigate?
My husband, now fully aware, grimaced and retreated back into the apartment. His expression was stern, and it was the first time he'd addressed me so coldly as "you." Getting defensive is unbecoming. Besides, I didn't even investigate. Unfazed, I recounted the events from the day after I'd announced the divorce. On that day, I happened to visit a large supermarket near this apartment. I was there to buy a specific bread that a colleague had recommended. It was only available at this store. Although I intended it as a change of pace, I unexpectedly spotted my mother-in-law there. Reflexively, I hid, but my eyes followed her movements involuntarily. She was buying children's snacks, character-themed breads and sweets, in the kids section. It struck me as odd. I completed my own purchase and continued to tail her. Is she buying souvenirs for someone? But does she know someone with kids? Wait, what am I doing? It's none of my business where my mother-in-law goes. After a while, feeling foolish, I decided to turn back. That's when I saw her entering this very apartment building. Although I couldn't hear their conversation, she seemed delighted as she was invited into one of the units. She knows someone around here. At the time, it didn't strike me as anything out of the ordinary.
Why are you following me? Ugh, I can't stand it.
She spat at me, as if I were something repulsive. My husband, attempting to cover up the situation, stammered.
No, it's not what you think. This is Sophia. She's a distant relative.
What? Relative? Who are you talking about?
The woman in question looked puzzled, but she seemed to grasp the tension in the air. She left her child with a nearby friend and demanded an explanation from my husband.
I'll explain later. Anyway, just go home, please. I'm begging you.
Seeing my husband attempt to dismiss me, I retrieved the diary from my bag and opened it to reveal its contents. My husband stammered.
Why would you have that? I was hiding it. Oh, wait, no.
I knew you were hiding it. I found this a week ago. I pointed to the first page, where he had written,
Starting today, I'll keep a diary. It's a commemoration of becoming a father. As for my wife, she'll probably run away eventually.
This entry was dated 6 years ago. My beloved husband hadn't just cheated, he had fathered a child outside our marriage. The humiliation and emptiness I felt at that moment would likely stay with me for a lifetime. When I underwent infertility testing, the mere thought that she might already be pregnant filled me with frustration, causing my body to tremble. My husband blurted out,
Seriously? Why did you find it?
Hold on. Explain what's going on.
Sophia, the woman introduced as such, couldn't bear the situation any longer. She raised her voice, demanding an explanation. Sophia, let me clarify. He and I have been married for 11 years. I took over for my husband, who was flustered when confronted with the diary, and explained the situation.
Wait, you're married? He said he was single. He's been deceiving me from the start.
My husband stammered.
Well, initially. But I was thrilled about the child. She couldn't conceive.
Curious, I asked when their relationship began. Sophia revealed that my husband had been a regular at the cafe where she worked, around the time he became a manager, 6 years ago. Their child was almost 5 years old, so she must have become pregnant soon after. Although the child was recognized, they were in a de facto relationship. Sophia had been divorced before meeting my husband, and due to negative perceptions of remarriage, they chose a de facto marriage even after she became pregnant. Finally, I understand. You were able to act so nonchalant because you already had a child. Every time you told me to leave things to nature, it felt like you were blaming me.
But I have a child, so it's only natural, right? Besides, I treated you kindly.
My husband, whom I had thought considerate and gentle, revealed his true self, a self-centered individual. You admit that you deceived both Sophia and me, right? Sophia, arms crossed, stared at him silently. My husband, exposed to the stern gaze of the two women, seemed to have given up on deceiving us.
If I said it was all work-related, nobody would suspect a thing. Leading a double life was a breeze.
He confessed shamelessly. Apparently, his overtime and business trips weren't work-related after all. Why didn't you divorce me even after going to such lengths? I asked, though I didn't expect a reasonable answer.
Because it would have affected my promotion.
He replied, his laughter twisted. He was no longer the man I thought I knew. Is that really the only reason? Divorce is common nowadays. Leading a double life is far worse.
Well, I was trying to get you to say divorce. If that's the case, I don't need to pay alimony.
He pretended to protect me while secretly expecting me to give in to my mother-in-law's long-standing harassment. And your promise to talk to your mom about her behavior was a lie too.
Yeah, well, there's no way I could reason with her. I'd just get scolded. So, I encouraged her to harass you even more.
Enough. It doesn't matter anymore. A childless wife like you is useless.
My mother-in-law suddenly started shouting after being unusually quiet, and her remarks were so unlike those of any other woman. Their twisted dynamic was a textbook example of like mother, like son. What if I hadn't brought up divorce? What was your plan? You can't keep leading a double life forever without getting caught.
Yeah, that's right. I thought I was so lucky. Everything was going too smoothly.
My husband replied, smugly.
Isn't it amazing how God works? I was overjoyed and immediately told my mom about the divorce and the child.
My mother-in-law, thrilled to learn about her grandchild, wasted no time and insisted on meeting the child. It turned out that the day I witnessed her visit was the first time she met the child, and my husband was there too.
Anyway, it's over between us. I'm marrying Sophia.
My husband declared, looking directly at me. Sophia, arms crossed, glared at him with an intensity that could melt steel. Sophia interjected.
What? I chose a de facto marriage. I won't marry now, and I'll raise my son alone.
Of course, that made sense. How could he suddenly propose marriage in this situation? My mother-in-law erupted.
What's going on? I won't allow this nonsense.
I've acknowledged the child. I'm the father.
My husband shouted back. The two of them continued to argue hysterically.
It's your fault you couldn't have children. If only you'd left sooner, I could have held my grandchild earlier. And now you're barging in here like a plague.
Exactly. Everything was about to work out perfectly. And it's your fault.
In the end, they both blamed me. You brought this upon yourself. Maybe take a moment to reflect on your own actions. We'll be dealing with lawyers from now on, so be prepared.
What? You were the one who brought up divorce. I won't pay any alimony.
His face twisted into an ugly expression. This man was no longer the person I thought I knew. There is the diary, and I've documented everything. The numerous harassments from your mom over the years.
So what? I'll argue that infertility is the reason for our divorce.
Exactly. Are you trying to threaten us?
In this situation, I felt like sighing because the parent-child relationship seemed utterly hopeless. Even Sophia seemed unwilling to speak. I've recorded every conversation since I arrived here. It's malicious enough to be a valid reason for divorce, I declared, thrusting my phone toward them. They both winced. My husband stammered.
Wait, I was out of my mind today. Let's talk properly again, okay?
I was just trying to get my son to see reason. It wasn't my true intention.
Finally facing reality, they scrambled to save face, but it was futile. Enough is enough. I don't care about your excuses anymore. We probably won't see each other again. The two of them finally broke down in tears, cursing each other. I greeted Sophia and left the apartment, ignoring my husband and mother-in-law. Afterward, I reported the divorce to my workplace. Rumors of his double life quickly spread to my husband's company. His promotion was cancelled, and he lost his new assignment. He was no longer a manager. My mother-in-law's relentless harassment became public knowledge in the neighborhood. She retreated to her home, living a lonely pensioner's life. My husband, who became penniless after the property division and alimony of $20,000 to me, and after being left by Sophia, with alimony of $7,000 to her and child support payments, eventually quit the company that had become uncomfortable for him. He is now out of touch, not even telling his mother his whereabouts. 3 years after the divorce, I remarried at 36. Now, 6 months pregnant, I cherish this newfound peace. I'm walking forward, determined to create the happiest days ahead.
How did you find this story? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time in the next video.